What's up, folks? Casual Dad here for a minute to talk about the Supreme Commanders in Warhammer 40k. And so, who are the Supreme Commanders, right? So, they are the headstrong, stubborn, extremely powerful, or just such high ranked characters within the Warhammer 40k universe that they will not work for anyone else. And in the way that translates onto the tabletop, if you field one of them, they have to be your warlord. You can't have another warlord in your detachment. Obvious examples are Rowboat Guilliman here, and then also Abaddon himself. Just to give a couple examples, and we've seen a lot of these in the new codexes, and I think the plan is for every single codex to come out in 10th edition of Warhammer 40k to have a Supreme Commander. Now, I'm going to run through a quick spoilery list of the actual Supreme Commanders that we kind of sort of know about, either because they have already come out in codexes, or because we have a good idea of who they're going to be. And these are the official releases, the official ones from Games Workshop, which is why there are still a lot of question marks. And there's some speculation we could have, but yeah, we don't want to spoil that too much. So this is for Warhammer, for my content. I'm making this for Warhammer Combat Cards to kind of look ahead to see which Supreme Commanders are still coming, maybe even a rough timeline. But for any 40k fan, this is still kind of fun, interesting trivia to pop into. I actually had looked at who the Supreme Commanders were for a long time, could not find it, and huge shout out to Harry, the Mad Emperor over at, Flare Games, Well Played Games? I always mix up which one it is, but the lead designer on Warhammer Combat Cards, because he put together a list, as he knew it, of the current and future Supreme Commanders, which is, spoilers, if you want to be surprised by who the Supreme Commanders are whenever a codex comes out, or whenever they're added to Warhammer Combat Cards, why are you watching this video? Spoiler warning, official spoiler warning, this will show you kind of who's coming, so you'll know. So, 3, 2, 1, boop. So there's my list. So some of these obviously we know. For the Adeptus Sororitas, we've got Morvenn Vahl. Custodes, we've got Trajan Valoris. Adeptus Mechanicus, we've got Belisarius Cawl. Now they all have had codexes released, so we knew that. Now there are a bunch on this list that have none. I'll skip those for now. For the Astra Militarum, it's Lord Solar Leontis, who's a brand new character I know nothing about. Then we'll go to Demons, it's Be'lakor, the Dark Master. For Chaos Space Marines, of course, it's Abaddon, the Despoiler. For Dark Angels, it's the Lion. For Death Guard, it's Mortarion, the Demon Primarch. For Genestealer Cults, it's a Patriarch. Interestingly, not named. Yeah, there's a good note there. It's just Patriarch. Weird. Which is strange, because, well, Genestealer Cults, not surprising, never mind. For Grey Knights, it's Kaldor Drago. There's a typo there, that's fine. Gotta tease you, Harry. True to form, there's a typo on the list. But of course, I mean, this is a lot of work, and I really appreciate it. This is obviously in a Discord chat, and he put this list together for me, and I did not expect that, and this was huge. I really appreciated this, so thank you, Harry. I still have to heckle you for the extra Drygor on, though. For Votann none. Necrons, we've got the Silent King. We already know that. Orcs, Gazgakul. Space Marines is Guilliman. For Thousand Suns, it's Magnus the Red. For Tau, it's Shadow Sun. And then for World Eaters, it's Angron, the other Demon Primarch. Now, just to edit this list a little bit, these are the ones we know. So the ones crossed out in red have already been released in a codex. We already know that. And then we do have a couple names for the ones we basically know who they're going to be whenever they're released. We got that Lord Solar, we got Be'lakor, we got Mortarion. If those codexes come out, which they may not in 10th edition, those are more than likely to be the Supreme Commanders. And another, I don't know if I mentioned this in my opening, but a big reason why they have Supreme Commanders is so you can have these incredibly powerful warlords that won't be gamed by being stacked with other warlords, so you stack the Supreme Commander's abilities on top of another warlord trait, so on and so on. So to avoid kind of the super combos, but also give them that nod that they are so powerful they wouldn't be taking orders from anyone. So, of course, there are ways you could kind of game that in-game, like Abaddon is jumping in to help out another assault, for example. Still, it's hard to imagine him taking orders on any level, so I see where it comes from. But looking at this is kind of what's coming up next, and honestly, I haven't kept track enough to know which codex is coming next. This does feel like there's a lull. So for those 40k players or those of us playing Warhammer Combat Cards, we may not actually get a Supreme Commander this next coming Battle Pass season, or we may get some of the ones on the list who have been confirmed, because I'm pretty sure some of these codexes have actually been released in 10th edition, but we didn't get the Supreme Commander in Combat Cards yet. Ones that come to mind, of course, are the World Eaters. I believe their codex did come out. I'd have to look into that, so I'll look into that too. But I wanted to go ahead and kind of talk through the list and jump on this. And a reason I put this together is I was so sure that the Supreme Commander for the Imperial Guard was Lord Solar Leontis, and it is, but it completely did not cross my mind that there are so many sub-factions of the Imperium that when Trajan Valoris came out as the Supreme Commander for Custodes, I was like, oh, obviously, totally makes sense. For Custodes, yes, he is the Supreme Commander, but they're not like a sub-faction inside Warhammer Combat Cards, so I was taken off guard. So that was actually what prompted me to ask this question some time ago. So, long and the short of it, that is our full list. Of course, the ones that will be filled in here, some of these we kind of know too, right? So, Ildari, none. Now, that one is a little bit strange. I don't know who that would be. Could be Eldrad. I'd love to see that. Could be Vrain. We'll see if her lore and rules kind of get buffed up to that point. Could be the Avatar, although that would be a little bit strange. Could be a character we haven't seen yet. Could be, who knows? So there's a big question mark. Black Templars, Blood Angels, shrug. Blood Angels could be Dante, but maybe we'll get the Sanguinius back. Please don't bring Sanguinius back. He's one of the characters who is beyond a shadow of a doubt dead. We need some of those in 40k lore. Bellicor, of course, Chaos Knights. They don't have enough named characters to do that. Death Guard Mortarion, Death Watch. I could see that being Artemis, but it's strange to imagine Death Watch even having a Supreme Commander. Some of these may stay never having one. Drukhari, I mean, if they ever bring back Asdrubal Vect, Vect would be the Supreme Commander of the Drukhari, hands down, no question. Unless there's a major lore shakeup at some point in the future, but as of right now, it's Vect, who's been waiting on a model for a very long time, and this would be a great opportunity to re-release him. Maybe. Then, of course, Genestealer Cult's the Patriarch. I can't imagine they would stick with an unnamed Patriarch. I feel like we'd either we would... That's a weird one. I'm very curious to see where they go with that. Yeah, as noted in the chat. Interesting as non-named. Likewise, going on to Thousand Sons Magnus, I'm fairly certain that we could guess that Space Wolves is going to be Logan Grimnar, unless, of course, we get... now... Russ, the wolf, is a Primarch who could come back, based on the ones who've come back so far, and based on him not being dead, I think. Yeah. Leman Russ could certainly come back and be one of the next Loyalist Primarchs. That would be fun. For Tyranids, I would assume it's the Swarm Lord, but that's not confirmed. We don't know. But yeah, that, of course, would be my bet. So, that's our list. That's our upcoming people. I don't think any factions are missing. But yeah, we'll see. And I don't know which one's coming next either. I have no idea. So, anyway, there's your quick and dirty list of the current and upcoming and unknown and possibly known Supreme Commanders in Warhammer 40k. Let me know if you know of any that I don't know, if you know what the release schedule is going to be. Yeah. For this upcoming season of Warhammer Combat Cards, I don't think that we have one coming, but I would be very pleased to be wrong, and we'll see. Anyway, really enjoying the current season, so we'll see what happens in the next season. Until next time, cheers.